episode 160 of New Meta Podcast, soon to be bought out by Mark Zuckerberg, we hope. But for now, the name maintains, the famous logo maintains, and one thing that doesn't maintain is the hero pool from last episode, because we've been joined by Marci, the super strong woman, the strong gal, the whistler. OP as anything, but no longer, perhaps. That will be discussed, along with all the other things, 7.30E, and anything else we get round to. Marco, welcome to the podcast. New heroes here, always exciting times.
Very exciting. It was funny because you released the podcast about 11 p.m. last week, and then about 10 minutes later, there's someone copy-pasted Marci released. So, yeah, we had a full week to consume, digest, and realise that Marci's broken until now. That's a debate to be had.
It's an unfortunate timing on the pod, that's for sure. It's always a rough one when you release a pod and then there's a patch within sort of 12 hours. There's a patch. It's just like, that is not great to see. Especially if it's like a big balance patch and you've just been talking about the meta or whatever. That's always a funny one. But there you are. Adam, Marci's here. You're very happy to see Marci come out. Feel like you had the profile picture before it was cool.
Oh yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
The name as well, Brave Little Mouse.
Ah, true.
Yes, that was 6 months ago. Was the last time. Good thing I'm on DotA buff. It will tell you your aliases. Yeah, Brave Little Mouse was 6 months. Yeah, I really didn't think, having watched the anime and seeing the trailer for the new hero, really didn't think she'd be strength. But she gets launched and you check it, and you're like, oh, we just have Dawnbreaker 2.0.
Yeah.
Back-to-back strength melee female waifus.
Yeah, it's definitely cool that she's strength. It sort of adds a dimension of sort of awesomeness to the character. I actually wasn't surprised that she was strength, to be honest with you. When she came out, I was like, oh, she's going to be strength for sure. They're going to make Marci strength because she's so strong in the anime, just throwing stuff around.
Yeah, but Luna and Mirana are agi.
I can't comment on Luna and Mirana. They're too old. Dota 1 stuff is for Marco to comment on. All I know is that in the anime, it's pretty strong.
I mean, she's very nimble.
Yeah, I thought you could make her like an assassin type with all the same spells, and it'd be fine to be agi, but she would need to have high strength gain regardless, because she kind of commits really hard. So,
I mean, usually we do games. I suppose we still can, because other than me, we've all been doing some Marci gameplay anyway. So there'll be some Marci stuff battered in there. I almost said sprinkled in there, whatever the term is. But yeah, Marco, how have your games been this week?
So I've had a mix of, I've had 2 chapters then merge into one end chapter. So the first chapter being ranked. Got a few ranked in, been playing the POS 5 until my last game. I was 2-2 in the ranked. I was crying about some crappy ranked games when you're 5 and you can't do anything, whatever. But then got a couple wins in, balanced it fine, nothing super interesting. The other story is then the Marci gameplay, obviously spamming bots. Highly recommend playing against bots to figure out what the spells do. I mean, insane bots, they're a feat to beat, so it's good to dust off the buttons. And I remember the first time playing it being like, oh, okay, yeah, obviously bots are just clueless, but I was in the mid and then doing this throwback spell and the jump, and I would, as a mid laner hero, it feels just like there's so many plays, so much play potential that you could have. But then obviously you can do these carry builds as well. But anyway, smashing out the bots, then brought it to the real Dotaverse. Played that pub yesterday, 5-stack or 4-stack. No, it was 5-stack. Kind of tilted, honestly, because I was a bit like, I had a cold, and I was just in a bad PMA. Like, mentality was weak, and I just wanted to stomp this game. And then literally, like, for the first 10 minutes, like, I didn't not run into 3 heroes. It was just so much rotations from the enemy team. It was blowing my brain how much they rotated. And like, there was, I've never seen such fast TP rotation or just 3 heroes run at me as this mid Marci. I was just like, this is just not what I want. But then Stan carries us on Dro. I think Dro's had a nice little, really marginal buff, which I think goes a long way in this latest patch. But Stan did it very well. And it made me think, Stan, why don't you try play carry in ranked? Because I feel like when I play party and Stan's on the 1, I feel like it's always in the bag. It's always reliable. You'll get creeps and then you'll fight. I feel like we don't lose when you're on the 1. I don't know what Adam thinks or what you think.
What do you think, Adam? I've got a theory.
I was thinking about that today as well, at work. Why doesn't Stan play carry more?
They're the questions.
I think it works really well when we play in a 5-stack. It's almost like the optimum situation, because if you're building a 5-stack, you'd probably want your highest MMR player playing mid in a more tempo role, but will scale. So, for example, when you're playing mid, Marco, in our 5-stack, it's like, if you play to your MMR, like say everyone plays to their MMR in this varied stack, you're going to do work in the mid game tempo-wise and also like scale into the late game as well and have high net worth throughout. And whereas if, you have someone like me, say, I maybe can only achieve one of those things if I played mid, because I because I don't have the same skill level. But then if I play carry, it's like I can just AFK farm for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and then like I will be farmed. So you probably want your second best or third best player maybe your third best player playing carry, someone that can competently hit creeps and farm and stay out of trouble, which I feel like I can do, but it isn't going to be like getting involved, which is a perfect fit for the POS 1. Whereas I feel like when I play it in ranked, I don't have like a mid that is way above the average MMR of the game, or the same for the 3 or something, and you can't just farm and like win in the same way. Whereas when we play in 5-stack, it's like I can just AFK because I know we're going to hold out for long enough. Whereas in ranked, it's like I play POS 1 sometimes, and if I play it the same way as I would in a party where I just AFK and get fat, it just doesn't work because we just get run over and the game's lost like 15 minutes in. So I prefer playing mid or off lane where I feel like I can have impact in that earlier time.
It is a tricky one because I know what you're saying. In the ranked, it feels like you have to have more impact earlier on, whereas in the party games, you're just this reliable late game carry. It's a shame though. I feel like there's potential there. I do feel like you reliably get farm and then you connect to fights nicely. And
Drow Ranger is also a good hero for me. I always do well on Drow. I've got pretty decent stats, and the hero, I feel like it should be a very pub stompy hero. The damage is nuts. It's ranged, which we all know is OP. And it's reasonably strong in the lane by virtue of being ranged and having multi-shot and having frost arrows to run down enemies. So I think unless you're against, obviously there are heroes that are great against Drow Ranger, heroes with a lot of jump, but barring that, you can just sort of win games quite easily with Drow.
Yeah.
Reasonably strong farm.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one. To round off the games, the last one I played was a ranked POS 3 Marci. So I would really like to play more Marci. Really fun. I think still really strong. I know the numbers are less, but I do think that still strong hero. Played it in the 3. Really happy with my item build. So I got a casual helm, Vine Will, followed by Boots Soul Ring, which was so good because that... Oh, yeah,
Boots,
that mana...
just brown Boots Soul Ring.
Brown Boots Soul Ring.
Yeah.
Because I had a stick as well early on, which was massively important for the mana. But then that Soul Ring came in kind of near level 5, level 6, so kind of that little bit more boost of mana when needed. Then finished the Armlet, because Armlet good. Then finished the phase, and then into the BKB. So I was really happy with that item build. In the lane, it went well. I was with a Rubik, just used spells, so much damage, pretty fun. But was then this awkward mid-game timing where the enemy had this Kunkka mid popping off, running around getting kills. We had this Veno pos 5, Rubik pos 4. We was getting outnumbered and then rolled over by Kunkka and Weaver pos 3. And it was pretty awkward at one point, but then kind of all of a sudden, I get this BKB. I'm claiming the win, actually, all on my shoulders, claiming it for this reason. Although we have like an 18-1 Slark who pops off, but the reason he pops off is because we get Aegis. Why do we get Aegis? I scan the pit, game senses kick in. We're all just kind of doing our own thing. Scan the pit. We all immediately go to the pit. We get there, it's about 25% HP. Like Veno just pos 5, kamikaze, runs in, blows up his Poison Nova, just gets two-shotted, whatever. But then I've used like Veno's dead body to jump in with whatever the jumpy spell's called. We kill kind of 2 or 3 heroes in kind of this clean-up fashion, get the Aegis, Slark with an Aegis, Omega potent, just the freedom to play so aggressive, and we then win like 1 or 2 other fights later after that. And overall, I didn't do as much damage as our mid-Ember, mid-Slark, carry Slark. But there's this one point where I think I've just got BKB. Do I even have Halberd at this point? I think I maybe just have a Sanj, but they've got this Kunkka who's this fat, tanky hero, but just with a full level 3 ult, with the E, with an armlet, 2 kind of rounds of my suplex, A Kunkka's got about 90% HP taken away, and it's a Kunkka, a big, meaty, tanky hero. I was just like, wait a sec, why am I allowed to do this? Felt very good. So I was very happy with that win. And Marci, I delivered 2-0. Don't need it to be broken.
Nice. Adam, how have your games been? You've been having a bit of Marci action on the support role, among other things. How's that been going?
I've only played it twice. It was quite easy on support. I didn't get to play totally like stock ship Marci. I played it after the first nerf, so I'll never know what that felt like. But the first nerf iteration was like nasty.
What actually is the timeline for Marci? Because I didn't realise. Has there been multiple rounds of
twice?
Ah, interesting. I've only seen the most recent one, perhaps the one that was like yesterday. I don't think I saw any before that.
Yeah, I had another one. Yeah, she's a trip. I quite like her as a support because you can actually just commit and harass and stuff. Was playing Dire Side, safe lane, level 2. You just like, so you're on the side of the trees that is close to the hard camp. They walk up to your tier 1 because that's where the wave is, and you can just jump like over your trees off of your, like, you can either hop off the range creep or your teammate and just land on top of the enemy laner and yeet them into the tower. And it's just like, what? I didn't even like try and do it, you know what I mean? Just like I cast a spell and she runs like 1,000 range and then jumps another 1,000 range. You're like, oh, I guess I was in the initiation zone. I thought I would walk into vision first, and you're like, man, I'm really good, when it just actually is that the spell is absurd. Yeah, and then in the late game, it's really nice throwing the lifesteal component on a Slark. So that was pretty fun. Now I don't. It's like they moved that talent to 25, so that's like a lot worse for support Marci. Although they did give it a dispel, so that's a buff. But you have to get level 25. So I don't know.
I didn't get that. Applies a basic dispel. Why would it not do that?
The old version didn't. It just gave gave magic immunity. So it's basically just like you could dodge, like say a magic missile. You could dodge it if you timed it right. But if you did it after,
you'd be stunned, but BKB.
You'd be stunned. You'd be BKB'd. Like, it's like if you walk into like a Dark Willow queue, you could like not take the damage, but you were still stuck. So,
yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, it's basically just like damage mitigation, but if you were good and you timed it right, you were dodging things.
That's annoying.
I suppose you could walk out of a static storm or something. But it's kind of weird what things you could and couldn't. So it's like better that it dispels, but as a support, it's way harder to get to 25. It's I really liked Aether Lens on the hero as a support because you're just like initiating from crazy range, and like the repositioning aspect of the suplex or whatever, like dispose, I think it's called. You're throwing. It's just like doubles where you can grab from and how far back you're throwing behind you. So like makes it really good. And then also the save aspect of doing that to a friend is, I think it's one of the more unexplored components of the hero because everything else is so outlandish right now. Because I was a 5 and I was man fighting their carry with no items. Their PA, I was just like, I don't care. I'm just going to punch and lifesteal a bunch, and then like throw you on the ground and like jump really far away when you get low off of a creep camp down a hill to where you can't catch me. So, I like her as a hero. Like much more as a concept versus like something like Void Spirit. I like Marci a lot more.
Interesting.
I'm surprised.
Like, it's one movement spell. It's one movement spell versus like 2. And I like the vector targeting of it as opposed to just like movement. Like just straight line movement.
This is full weeb confirmed that you're not up in arms about how insane her kit is. I think this is redonk compared to all the other
on
releases.
Release, she was the most busted hero shipped in a long time, but now she's like
she's calmed down because of all the numbers.
She's sub 50. She's sub 50. I dare say she's like below average.
Really, just because those numbers have gone down.
They've gone down a lot. It's like the W, any cooldown nerf that gets makes the hero like really less good because you want to jump in, jump out, and then like the ult
that lasts
1.75 seconds in between punch combos.
Yeah, it's much less output damage
because you only have a certain window for the lifesteal sidekick, and it's like less because they also originally. The ult lasted 18. Now it lasts 16. And then it's 16 with a 175 window in between punch combos. And then it's like everything's been touched. I like that core idea of the hero though.
Interesting.
And she still doesn't have an Ags or an Ag shard, so we will see where that goes.
Yeah. Maybe I'll quickly run through my games and then we'll just obviously come back to Marci. I actually have a mildly funny story. This is pretty embarrassing actually, but I went to the pub the other day and came back and was like a little bit drunk but wanted to play some Dota. So I was like, I'll just fly into a bot game, just like cast some spells or whatever, and then go to bed. Anyway, played out a 62-minute bot game loss as Rubik. So yeah, actually sat through a 62-minute bot game and lost against unfair bots as Rubik.
How do you lose? How do you play for 62 minutes?
Well, yeah, that's the main question is how do you play for 62 minutes against bots? So basically what it was played for like 50 minutes, just trying to cast spells, messing around 1v5, and then was like, alright, I want to go to bed now, this is ridiculous, let's just win. So then team wipe, push high ground, like they're buying back, team wipe them again, start hitting their tier 4s, and then the classic out of nowhere camera straight back to our own fountain, which has died to creeps.
No.
And I was like, oh my god, this is the funniest thing like I've ever seen in my life. So,
yeah,
there you go.
That's pretty dark.
That's like dark, yeah. Even worse than me playing an ability draft yesterday as a quick, like, oh, Marco's 20 minutes away, and then it takes 50 minutes. At least we won that one. But you could have left at any time in a bot game.
I know, yeah. I know. Well, that was good. It was pretty good fun, though. I wish Marci had been released, though, because then I could have played Marci against bots. That was actually a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, I haven't played Marci yet this week, which is definitely on the to-do list. I haven't actually played that many games at all this week, really. I only played a few. I played the Drow Ranger yesterday, as mentioned, and I think a couple of Rubiks, maybe a Magnus. All wins, though. Green profile, 5 wins in a row. So, you know what that means. It's almost time for me to go on a 10-loss streak in ranked, so we'll see if that transpires at some point. Back to Marci, though, because my personal take is that I'm, like, not dying to play the hero, and I don't actually like it very much, kit-wise. I just don't... I don't understand. It's just like, you just hit quickly. And then there's a big epicenter pulse that slows. It's like kind of boring. I get why it's good, but it's like kind of boring as an ultimate on a new
I think you've not wielded the power of it though.
Yeah.
It's powerful, man. You smash with an E and an armlet. It's a lot of the damage.
Yeah, it's just like right-clicking quickly. And then you've got 1.75 seconds of downtime. It's such a like bizarrely engineered spell. It's such a weird one.
It is a weird one, but it's fun. Honestly, you gotta try it.
It's like the dev team were like, we need to we've given some cool spells. Now we need some sort of way for the hero to be a carry and do a lot of damage. So what should we do? And it's like, oh, well, let's give really, really fast attack so it can scale off right click. But we can't just give it all the time, so let's make it be a 1.75 second downtime. And a finite number of attacks like overpower.
Well, it was 1.5 second, and then they made
1.5. Yeah, when they were thinking about it. And then the hero won't do anything for 1.5 seconds. And then you'll do another burst. It's just like, it's just weird. It feels clunky to me.
It feels bad to get kited, but what you can do is like punch and then suplex someone in the downtime.
Yeah, that's so nice.
And then you can like walk over.
Yeah.
But it definitely has awkward bits.
I really like Dispose. I mean, I really like that Q. That's my favourite spell. The W, fine. Not wild about it, but I quite like it as a concept because it's new and, you know, bouncing off one hero to go to the next thing, it's quite cool. And then the sidekick, again, it's all right. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't seem to. I guess it goes with the ult, obviously, because of the bonus damage, and it's nice in the lane. But just thematically, the hero just feels weird to me. Versus, you mentioned Void Spirit, and I think Void Spirit. I really like Void Spirit as a hero design because I think it all goes together, and it just feels like a really cool magic nuke hero with like sick mobility. It's kind of like his thing. So I really like it. I think a hero like Hoodwink is a weird one as well that I'd put into like the weird category. But even then, it kind of fits together. It's just got a weird ult. The ult's the bit that is maybe doesn't fit as perfectly with the rest. It's hard to get an ultimate right. I mean, if you think about previous heroes, I feel like it's the ult that sometimes is a bit weird. Like Snapfire has a weird ult. Pangalier's ult is very cool. I quite like that. And Mars's ult obviously goes well with the hero, and I think that's cool.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the most well-designed ult, I genuinely think Astral Step is like the coolest, best designed ult that we've seen for a while on a new hero, because it's so easy to just do big spell, high cooldown thing that's obviously works, but to balance in a spell on like a low cooldown, like Astral Step, that works with the rest of his spells so effectively. I quite like that design. But like you said, I need to try Marci, and then maybe I'll just be like, Unleash, let's go, feel the power.
That's the other thing. Unleash is 110-second cooldown instead of 90. That's real tough.
Yeah,
because the hero doesn't farm.
Yeah, it's like taking her out of the 1 category and gone, alright, you need to be a 3. Your kit's not reliable enough to carry someone to the late game, but you are like a 2.5 where go in the off lane, you can do damage, you can do initiation, you can 1 to 100, 100 to 0 heroes because you've got power. But in terms of, can you rely on this hero to win you a late game or team fight, the kit's now lacking with these nerfs.
Yeah.
I do kind of agree with this ult point that it is a bit of a strange one, a flurry of attacks. Like if Ursa's ultimate was overpower and he just got 4-5 quick attacks, you'd be a bit like, underwhelming. And so I guess you could think of it a bit underwhelming. It's definitely not as cool mechanically, or thematically as these other Void Spirits and whatnot. Yeah, well, I think the Q, the suplex, is what I think is most amazing. Because if you're in the lane, and I think it's most amazing in the laning phase, if you think about playing a Wraith King and you throw a stun to the enemy hero, they're always going to have some gap between you. And say you're going to be in a dangerous position, the enemy will start running away. So say you throw a stun and it's chasing them, and they'll move away, and I mean, by the time the stun's hit, they've moved a bit of distance. It took time to get that stun to hit them. You've got to then gap close to go to them. Fine. If with this suplex, if you get out position and outplay someone, it's this instantaneous stun that then positions them closer to your tower and stuns them and damages them. And that displacement I find honestly amazing. I know you could do it defensively. I've yet to bother because no one has. But offensively, that repositioning aspect is so strong in my eyes for the laning. So strong. And then if they're trying to get away, well, you've guaranteed got some jump target to get back close to them and to slow them. So it's just, if they're deep in your lane, they are not getting away from you and they're probably not surviving. So I'm surprised Adam's not more up in roar about these 2 mobility, because I know there's only 1 mobility for Marci, but an instant displacement that's impossible to screw up and that's really effective. It's not like a hard Earth Spirit spell. If it was difficult to land, I'd be like, yeah, fair. But it's very basic and easy. And then the jump, the jump's the jump. I think the jump's nicely balanced in that if you're alone and there's no units, you are kind of fucked. So it's not like a monkey
use
where
it.
you... Yeah, like, that does...
You can bounce off the person chasing you, I guess. But
I guess you could do that. But
also, you've got to do it full range as well, haven't you? If it's just you and an enemy, you can't jump off the enemy onto the enemy, if you know what I mean.
No.
You've got to jump away from them. Yeah,
so I think that aspect, that mechanic does balance it. If it was like Monkey, where you could always be using this jump like around the map, and it would have better potential, like more potential to be better. But because it doesn't, it is a bit more circumstantial. I like that balancing aspect. Using that jump W, the only thing I dislike about the hero is that, maybe Adam knows this more, when you use the vector off a unit, because you can't, like you say, Stan, land close to the unit, there's like a radius that you have to at least land further than. So then I feel like when I do the vector movement, it can kind of feel a bit clunky because the circular radius that you jump into, it's not smooth when you move your mouse because there's a weird area you're not allowed to jump into. If that makes sense. So I feel like when I do the vector targeting, it's like a bit awkward sometimes because the allowed radius is like jumping all over the place non-smoothly. That's the only irk I've got playing it. Other than that,
that's just because you have mouse acceleration on. That's the only reason why that happens.
Can't control my vectors.
And let's talk about something else to do with the hero. It's from the anime. Looking at the hero now, it's very detailed, which Adam pointed out with some funny statistics compared to some of the other models out there. But what do we think about the direction? I mean, it's obviously like from the anime, so maybe it's just like, oh, well, they might add in 1 or 2 more heroes from the anime, then be done with it. But season 2's coming out, so it's like we haven't seen the end of these anime heroes. And I just think it's weird. I don't like looking at the model and seeing those big, like, anime eyes. It's just like, makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like, this is like DotA too. It's starting to feel amazed. Like Smash Bros or something when there's.
Yeah, I was amazed how smooth she is. She's like, there's like no jagged edges. Like the hero is just perfect for a model. Like with a Drow rework or something like that. It's like so nice. And then you look at Morphling and you're like, oh my god. Or like Old Viper or something. Old Lion. I made that comment as like about Morphling and whatnot, and then all of a sudden there's that thread on Reddit where literally her backpack has twice as many polygons as Morphling's entire model. And it really shows. And I understand, like, water is really hard to model, I guess. Like, I don't know how you would make Morphling look better with triangles and stuff, but...
Yeah. I'm on the client now, and it does look like you're playing Sims.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Uncanny Valley. It's like, it almost looks too good for DotA.
Yeah.
Like the skin is too smooth or something. I guess that's they made her like kind of anime or something. I don't know, like a direct port from the show.
There's not enough armor and stuff to make it fantasy and fictional.
It's just a person.
It's just a perfect person and model.
Yeah, or it's not like weird. Yeah, like unhuman, like Snapfire, for example, which doesn't have armor but is like a sort of midget granny with hair that's twice as big as her body. So
it's not a humanoid, it's a human. Straight up. And it's a human that doesn't have a fucked up face like the Morana model. Yeah. And isn't wearing a helmet like Luna. So it's just, I guess you're confronted more with the humanness of I don't know.
And isn't like just ridiculously ripped like Anti-Mage or like Omni Knight or something.
Yeah, it's just a person. Yeah. Because she's like a sidekick in the show, right? So, there's literally just like pick her out of a lineup, like, hey, here's a person in the DotA world now.
Yeah, it's like an NPC that you'd think could be in the map, like at a shop. But it's alive, and it's a human that beats everyone to shit.
Yeah. The only comparison is something like Wind Ranger, and like Wind Ranger's model is just so bad in comparison. It's like not even comparable. It's like a totally different game. It is interesting to see, though.
Yeah. Keen to see some cosmetics.
That will always be an interesting one. The Ag Scepter and the Ag Shard as well. Will they add in some new spell on the Ag Scepter?
That's what I want to see. That's going to be like... She'll go back to the other end and be good. Like
I think,
the shard will make it.
I think annoyingly, the shard will make her a pos 4 because it always does. Because it'll be this cheap booster that I think will make it like a really good pos 4 now. All of a sudden,
it'll be something on the level of like Horn Toss or like LC Shard. Like something very, very impactful, I feel like.
Yeah.
We should give her a direction, which I wouldn't mind. Ags,
New Ag Scepter, like Wolf Bite, Unleash Bite.
Ags are like real tough
hero.
to make worthwhile nowadays. So like, yeah, I don't know what you would do for her. What? Okay. Let me do my lazy game design hat. How about, what if the Shard gave you 2 charges of the W? Would that be good? That'd be worth 1,400, right? Would it be worth 4,200?
Do you ever need 2 jumps?
You can go in and out.
Why do you need to go in and out?
What, you can go in and in.
In, suplex, out.
Alright, what about 2 charges of the Q? That'd be pretty good.
That would be
That's busted.
Yeah.
Okay, what if that was a 4,200? That was an Ags. That'd probably be pretty good. That's like, what, 3.5 seconds of stun?
It's like 2
No, it's 4.2.
4.2, yeah.
Well, that might be. I think it might be 1 point. No, it's 4.2 because they nerfed the early levels, but they kept level 7 the same.
What about this for a Shard or an Ag? So if you use Dispose, if you suplex an ally, they turn into stone and they're like invulnerable for like a second and a half.
Lore wise, that doesn't make
any sense. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. All you need to do is do an episode of the season 2 anime where it happens, and then it's fine.
Okay, what about? No, that wouldn't make it. Instead, with the W, you could throw a teammate that way. Like you could.
That would be cool.
Get another a gobble up.
Yeah.
It'll probably be something that just like buffs sidekick though.
One of them will be a new spell. Either the Scepter or the Shard will be a new spell, I think, and then the other one will be a buff to an existing spell.
Is that always the case, where at least one of Scepter or Shard gives a new spell?
No, that's not always the case, but I think
Can
it
you
will
think
be
of someone who that isn't the case for? I guess Storm Spirit, it's just they buff 2 spells, okay.
Yeah,
Wraith King doesn't get a new spell.
Chaos Knight doesn't get a new spell.
What's Wraith King's... Oh, okay, yeah, I know what Wraith Kings are. Yeah.
And I think some get 2 new spells, right? Timbersaw, he gets second Chakram and Flamethrower. He just gets loads of buttons and stuff.
True. Did you know on the jump, the rebound, if she uses it against an ally, the ally gets 35% bonus MS for 5 seconds?
Oh, the ally does? I thought she did.
If the unit she runs to is an ally, it receives bonus 35%.
Didn't even know that. And then like the Unleash dispels herself and gives her 15% movement speed.
Unleash is dispel?
Dispels.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you get a little mini satanic.
Oh yeah, it receives a basic dispel. Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, there's like a lot of little nuggets like snuck
strong
to where like
dispel.
you play and you're like, why am I so good? And then you like have to read the paragraph and be like, oh, all these little morsels are tucked in, just like throwaway lines of like buffs to things. Yeah, I was thinking, what if the sidekick gave status resist or something, or like your Unleashed gave status resist as like a Shard or something. Because like it would fit because you're like unleashing. But I don't know. Status resist is kind of tough. I don't like that concept.
What about a strong dispel on Dispose when used with allies at Ag Scepter upgrade? 4.2k for a strong dispel?
Like Ursa.
I would spend
not
1.4 on it.
Not on Ursa, because on Ursa you press it yourself, don't you? But I'm saying on the Q, it's like Legion Commander W.
If you do it on a teammate, it's
strong
like
dispel.
Ava Shield. Yeah. That's. I like that.
Maybe not the full Ags if it's because it's melee range, I guess.
And you have to
but it's pretty insane. Like a strong dispel is kind of nuts. Just like cancel a fiend script with Q.
Yeah, I like that.
Or Pierce's spell immunity, maybe. Like that could be an interesting one. I don't know.
I quite like the Q. It's probably my favorite spell of the 4.
Yeah, I think so. And it's probably most people's favorite. I love the Q. Yeah. let's have a quick rundown of the patch 7.30E, because it wasn't just Marci that got added into the game. There was there was one general update, some items and some heroes. The general update being small camps XP bounties reduced by 10%, so that's just a nerf to the mids that were just grinding small camps all day. We won't do a line by line because that would be exhaustive and annoying. I think maybe let's just jump to some of the things that we feel are worth mentioning. Marco, you mentioned Drow Ranger. 5%, we referring to 5% marksmanship, Agi, and some well-received movement speed.
Well-received movement speed. I think 295, so 290 to 295. It's only 5, it is marginal, but when it's so shit, 290 to begin with, any additional MS I feel like it goes a long way. And then you've probably, you might have your Yasha somewhere down the line and you get a bit of snowball effect. But just honestly, I love MS buffs in terms of how impactful they are, and I think it just does make that bit of a difference. Getting from A to Z that bit faster, laning, punished a bit less. And then, the marksmanship, agi bonus. I don't think that's irrelevant. 5% at all levels. Again, it just helps that farm, that damage, armor, attack speed. So, I thought that was not a totally irrelevant change. And I feel like I've seen Drows a few times, again, in like some random, I've done some unranked games on my own and watching some games. Like, I've seen I think it was a mid-Drow it could have been a Gork game or something, building maybe Pike Blink, something quite cool like that.
Right.
So, maybe something to bring it in.
Yeah. Anything you noticed, Adam, in 7.30E?
Wraithband gives an extra half armor, so people might actually complete it. I'm not sure, though. Adds up.
Yeah. Wraithband, the journey of Wraithband, from built every game to just never being completed.
Yeah, so sad,
it's
actually.
like, not a lot of bracers, like, just Null Talisman would seem to be the only thing people were completing.
Yeah.
Because I guess Spell Amp is pretty good.
Yeah.
Vlad's is 100 gold cheaper. Helm of the Overlord is 100 gold more.
Is Helm of the Overlord the same, right?
It makes it the same because you're...
Oh, right, yeah.
You're using the Vlads, but like casual Vlads?
Yeah, Marco
it's like
to see that.
It's a good item.
Yeah.
It's a good item. Heart is 100 gold less. Crimson is 75 less. Have you ever seen a Crimson in a game?
Not for a long time. Crimson's never bought.
That's like, am I against a Visage? Am I against a Meepo? Am I against a Brood? I mean, there's like not a lot of Crimson guards.
Yeah.
In the, I guess one of the probably the biggest changes, they killed Fey Grenade, which was needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was insane.
And the Psychic Headband as well. For the Lincolns popping.
Yeah.
A Fey Grenade still pops Lincolns though, I believe.
It does.
Which is probably should be changed as well.
I think it's funny to see the bottle rune duration down from 120 to 90 when it's stored in your bottle. I swear that's solely because of Yataro Morph DD blowing up a game late game and them going, wait, actually maybe 2 minutes of storing a game changing rune is a little bit too good. Let's make it 90. I think that's pretty reasonable. It's quite a significant change. Obviously, it's not going to make a massive difference, but in some cases it will. So I think that's pretty cool.
The Horn Toss, Rip Horn Toss, so it doesn't stun anymore. It now provides a 100% move slow and 100% attack speed slow to targets instead of a stun. The duration's up a little bit, half a second. And the damage is done at the start rather than the end. Yeah, so you can just BKB. And you can 4-staff. There's loads of stuff you can do, basically. If you get Horn Tossed and you just instantly 4-staff yourself, you're just not you're just straight out of the way of the skewer. Do you know what I mean? It's you
Yeah.
can use yourself. It's
Bye.
it's a weird one. Yeah.
And
Not in time for collapse to not get a TI off of it.
Yeah.
He probably
Yeah,
will make
imagine
that
that.
trade.
emergency patch before the grand final. Horn toss is removed, and they're like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Another item I would give a shout out to is the Mage Slayer. I think we're slowly creeping to a hypothetical plane where this item might be considered.
50% more duration.
6 seconds is... Yeah, 4 seconds feels just too, so meaningless, but 6 is now getting somewhere. And then 20 attack speed rather than 15. It's going in the right direction.
Interestingly, just to revisit Drow with some stats, so plus 3.5% win rate this week. So that would indicate that Drow Ranger is the strongest winner of the patch, followed by Broodmother and OD. I don't know what the Brood and OD changes are. The Broodmother changes kind of doesn't mean anything because the win rate's gone from 40% to 43% or something.
Yeah.
So we don't really need to look at that, but OD is always a difficult
web
one.
charges.
Yeah.
She also got 5 more move speed, which is big when you get slow for being low. So every move speed counts.
Yeah.
The worst mechanic in the game, by far.
Yeah. Feels bad to be a Brood player. Actually, Brood players deserve it. OD, though, the Essence Flux change, so it's basically just mana store increase, so presumably this translates basically into you being able to leave it at one level less than you otherwise would, so oftentimes it's been a 1-point wonder. I think now you probably need 2 points before you max out your Q and W, which I think it was... God, I haven't played OD for so long. I can't remember whether you used to do 4-4-2 or whether you used to have to do 4-4-3. I think 4-4-2. So maybe you can get away with 4-4-1 now. I don't know. That remains to be seen. If you can, then it's a nice nerf, and if you can't, then it's nowhere near as effective as it would seem.
I really want to play support OD and do the weird save where they can walk.
Yeah, that's the dumbest. That's such a bizarre spell, seeing it happen, seeing this weird ghost hero walk really, really slow for a couple of seconds. It's bizarre. OD's always a difficult one though, because I feel like you increase those numbers a little bit too much and suddenly he's just broken as anything because of the snowball nature of the queue. So I hope Ice Frog is proceeding with caution. Anything else here to discuss on 7.30E or...
Pudge Hook is 25 mana less. That's pretty big. I mean, he only gets 2 hooks, so that's 25 less seconds to wait for your mana because you're not going to fairy regen, or your teammate's not going to fairy regen.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to be encouraged to play Pudge in my games. So, yeah.
The spirits, Void and Ember got cast point nerfs. You always love to see that. I wonder how many Ember spirits have died because of that 0.1 second already.
That's a weird one, that change. I mean, it doesn't affect the... You can still use Sleight of Fist, Remnant, and then activate Remnant to get away without ever being targetable, because you're just in Sleight of Fist.
Right.
That's not changed, but the cast point to 0.1? I guess, theoretically you could just get caught out. The one on Void Spirit is definitely noticeable. There's plenty of times where you say you Yules yourself and you try and W after coming down from Yules and you just die. 0.3 is very, very noticeable. So. Thanks,
Toronto, Tokyo.
Yeah, I think the Void Spirit one is fairly notable. Could more easily to get caught out on that. I think the Ember one, thinking about it, so the activate is what's now not instantaneous. So a situation I'm thinking of is you are trying to escape, let's say, you do one jump away, to somewhere, but then mid the first jump, you send a second remnant to because you want to do 2 jumps to escape. But then, so you've thrown the second remnant as you're doing the first travel, you land, but now it takes 0.1 seconds to start the second jump because it's activate fire remnant that's now got this cast point. So after you land, you can't just 0 second instantaneously press a button and be flying again. You've got to press a button, wait 0.1 seconds, and then fly again. And I do think in that 0.1 second, I mean, it's way easier now. Well, way easier. It's very hard to say that, but it's now more feasible that someone then gets off that stun or that lift or that hex because you're there for 0.1 second longer. That's not... It's such margins, but those margins do matter for heroes that play on the edge like a Ember and a Void Spirit. So I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, it sucks for an Ember player. But I think when you saw the likes of Toronto, Tokyo absolutely slaying, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe make these heroes not as crazy. It's all marginal,
interesting.
but...
You can cancel it as well now. You can like fake activate remnant. Yeah, you can stutter.
That's funny.
The hero does a little mini animation.
Yeah. I have a question. Grimstroke, Inkswell, buff duration reduced from 4 to 3. Is that a buff or a nerf?
It's got to be a buff, right?
Because that means it pops faster.
Yeah. But it means there's less move speed bonus, right?
And less time for that Ag Shard to heal you? Like less time for damage to be done for it to... I think it's a buff, because you want it to hit faster. But is it... It's probably the same stun duration. So
yeah, presumably, yeah.
I think that's a buff.
It's got to be a buff, yeah, surely. I mean, when they nerfed Dark Willow so that the Cursed Crown went off longer, that negatively affected the hero, so usually these things are a buff when it goes down. Having said that, though, it does make the shard worse, I guess, unless the total amount of heal is the same, but it just does it quicker, then it would be another buff, but it probably doesn't. I doubt they probably weren't thinking about the shard when they made this change, and then now they're like, oh crap, now the shard's trash. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
About that, Grimstroke's a weird hero. He's obviously another hero in the new hero category way back when. During TI8, Grimstroke came out, and then they said Mars will come out soon. I remember that. So he's another one to pile up. I'll have to do like a tier list of new heroes since Monkey King, post Monkey King heroes. Oh, in fact, we can even include MK. All new
the
heroes.
7.0,
yeah. Do a tier list. Maybe next episode we'll prepare a tier list. That'd be quite fun. I feel like we'd have some different answers. Well, I'm sure we would have some slightly different answers. Yeah.
To loop back to Marci, I'm curious to try this Battle Fury I've seen people doing. Pure Pos 1, Battle Fury, SNY, something like this.
I like the Maelstrom because it does synergize with the ult. You get more Maelstrom procs.
Battle Fury gives a lot of damage these days. I think it's just gone up to 60. So
yeah, true.
You don't, but Marci doesn't need attack speed because the ult gives it you. So you get some big punches with a Battle Fury. I love a Battle Fury, so I might have to try that next time I'm in the safe lane.
A little bit AFK though, but maybe if you're one, it's okay. If you can still arrive in the later stages of the game with as much strength as another hero that's been farming would have.
Yeah, I do think you can get involved still, even if you've just got Power Charge Battle Fury, because unlike a Agi hero, you'll be naturally a bit more HP.
True.
And yeah, strength gain is really good. Agi gain is decent as well. 3.3 strength gain sounds like quite a high number. The one thing that triggers me a little bit is how you have to double tap E to use it on yourself, sidekick.
Right, what do you want?
I just want to press it once, man. Because
when
you're flying
have to target a friend.
Fuck that, I don't want to target a friend. I just want to use it on myself and hit harder, but then I'm having to kind of interrupt my armlet ult right click or movement, just a bloody double tap at the E.
Yeah, there are times where I have like thought I double tapped E, then pressed R to jump in.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't press it. Damn.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really annoying. And I also need to figure out, if I double press E, does it cancel all my actions? I'm surely it wouldn't. Like, if you're right-clicking someone and you double press E, surely it's going to continue right-clicking them.
Yes.
Well, not 100%. I feel like that might be dependent on your auto-attack options or something like this. I don't know, it just feels like this double tap is disrupting my flow. And like Adam says, sometimes you won't get it off because you're kind of too busy clicking other buttons, that then the double E, you didn't do it fast enough or something. And
Demo seems to think that your actions are not cancelled.
Oh yeah, so that was it. The second thing about it that it doesn't irk me but can be annoying is if there is an optimal timing to use it. You could be throwing a punch, but then double tap E, and I think that would cancel your right click to cast the spell. Whereas you want to be using it either before or after an attack is completed. So then it's like, do you use it and then do your attacks, or do you do your attacks then use it? That's a bit awkward sometimes. Do you use it before you jump in and then maybe lose a second or two of uptime? You get a bit confused. All very marginal stuff, but...
And what's the skill build on Marci? Because when I first saw the hero, I thought, damn, this sidekick spell, like giving you 35% lifesteal and bonus damage, like that's just so strong for the lane. It's almost like Empower. But then also you've got this stun for the lane, and this W obviously is insane for repositioning. What do you think the skill build should look like, or are you not sure yourself?
What position?
Side lane, core.
Well, I think in the
like
3, what I did in the 3 was, I think I was 4-4-0-1. I know that you could say, oh, but the E gives you synergy, give it to an ally, you're both hitting harder, but it's 20 damage at level 1. I think the Dispose suplex goes up in 50 increments. I'm like, how many right clicks are we really getting off? I just want to make Dispose stronger. So I was happy to ignore it and go full into the spells. I think in the mid, I like just the raw power of the spells, but maybe in the mid you want to go, say, 2-2-1, and then in the safe lane, if you're farming orientated, I do think you have to max it because the cooldown reduces massively when you max it. So I feel like you need to max it for the farm speed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Interesting.
Well, there you go. And what about item builds? How do you feel about Midas? Can you mention Battle Fury? How do you feel about Midas?
No.
No?
It's got everything you don't want. No damage and it's attack speed.
That you don't need. Yeah, if you want to, and especially if you go Armlet, you definitely need the maxed E.
Yeah, for the heal.
You circumvent the negatives. Yeah, I feel like what are the main builds? Armlet. I've seen some Aether Lens if you're doing not like Corey things.
Yeah.
Maelstroms, I've seen a lot of Bashers. Definitely like second item or third item BKB, depending on the game. Damage. You can go big damage, get crits and stuff, but see a lot of like satanic and just strength things.
Yeah.
How do you see like Blink Dagger? Oh god, I don't know if you were going to make another point, but
Blink Dagger seems unnecessary given your W.
If you want to like save people, I do think like there's an argument to be had for like Blink or Force Staff because you commit so hard, but that's more of a support type thing. If you want to commit and then like Force Staff yourself out, pseudo swap or whatever.
I think in any serious game, BKB it's just too good. Strength, damage, and then you can be in the mix of a fight. And an issue is that you get kited or disabled because you're right in the mix. So hyper aggressive. BKB is just GG. You can hit anything you want. I had it in this last ranked game I had. I thought to myself, do I need BKB? They have only a a Snapfire and a Kunkka that are really doing spells. And then I was like, Gyro does a lot of magic damage, actually. And then it's like, if you get hit by this rocket... And so even though I thought this is a game where BKB is not hyper value, I still got it. And then it gives you those stats you like. And then when I did use it in a fight, you feel invincible. And there's no little bullshit that can screw you over, like a stun randomly or just any disable. It's just freedom to smash, and it's just too good. If you want to be serious, you gotta buy it.
Marco's first game with Marci probably faced like the most anti-Marci lineup I've seen. And we still won. But he was pretty mad for most of the game. But like, okay, so what is Marci not like? The enemy team is Invoker. So Tornado, very annoying, can dispel off your sidekick. And tons of spells and disable and lock down. Ghost Walk can kite you. So that's a very annoying hero. Disruptor, glimpse you away, kinetic field you, silence you, so very annoying. Winter Wyvern, curses you, heals the person you're going on, can go over hills, slows you, very annoying hero to deal with. Underrated hero, Abaddon, very, very good against Marci. Doesn't really care to be gone on because you have a full second life, and you just whack her 4 times, and you're like silencing her and slowing her, and she can't do anything.
Yeah.
And also, like, you have the hard dispel. And then Dawnbreaker. So, heals, man up, the swipe, stun potential. That was like a real annoying lineup because there's so much like repositioning of you and like silencing you.
Yeah.
But then you get a BKB.
Yeah.
Then you get a BKB and you're like, fine. Actually fine.
Yeah.
For the most part.
The Dawnbreaker, so if you go on someone as a Marci and you're in this melee range of the hero, the Dawnbreaker's ult is entirely around that enemy hero you've got on, so it's actually quite hard to escape it because you're always like in the worst possible position relative to the Dawnbreaker AoE ult. So that was really annoying. And then like you say, if you've got a hero that can tank your full arsenal, once you finish your ult, you have to bail. You don't really have a fight left in you once the ult's done, so yeah, that's triggering.
Adam trying to will Abaddon into the meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is an insane hero against Marci, if solely for the fact that you're trying to man up and then you just get silenced.
Yeah. What do you think about Pos 4 Marci? Drums, BKB? Go.
I don't know about Drum.
Theory crafting some plays.
I think I like 4-3 and Marci the best.
Right.
4. So the thing about Aether Lens is that it makes you don't farm ever after, but if you're only trying to like reposition someone, it is really good. Something like Phase Aether Lens. If you don't want to do that, maybe Solar Crest could be cool because the minus armor and like the slow and stuff syncs really well with you man fighting, and like you can also in late game put that on your carry plus sidekick and kind of like do some shenanigans that way.
Yeah,
but I still think you get BKB.
Yeah, I'm in for the drums, man. Phase drum, 7 strength and int, which you love. And MS. And attack speed bonus to your team.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing is like the active, you don't care about the attack speed. But you're right, that's really good for everybody else. And the move speed is really good for you in the active anyways.
Yeah. The only problem is that drum's pretty trash. But yeah.
It could work.
Yeah, no, I'm a believer. I'm ready to fly, and I've convinced myself that drum's the play on support. I'll have to get back to the listeners on this one because I do definitely want to get a Marci game in. I'm pretty confident I'll be able to get one in this weekend. anything else to mention? Any final words on the hero or like anything else?
I think there is a lot of items you can go as a core. Like I saw a YouTube thumbnail of something Wagger, first item Daedalus perhaps, and in some games, the Maelstrom.
Bulldog's on every item. He's tried it every single way.
You get a fast Satanic some games.
He's a great halberd carrier.
I got halberd actually, that felt nice. Deso you could do. There's a lot you could do. I'm even thinking, alright, Crystalis builds into Silver Edge. Could you go Crystalis Silver Edge and be kind of run around, invis, and then blow up someone? Feels like there's a lot of little paths you can take, at least in the 1 and 2 where you've got more gold. I think in the 3, an armlet BKB is never going to go wrong. But I think it'd be interesting to see more of the hero and see how it can do in support positions as well.
Yeah.
I bet Necro's pretty good against her.
What's good, sorry?
Necrophos, I bet is pretty good against her.
Yeah, we have some stats here, best versus and worst versus, which are pretty interesting. Have you guys seen this? Can I test your knowledge here at the end?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Not seen.
I'll be impressed if you can guess any of the top 5, or indeed the top 10, to be honest, for best or worst.
Is Necro not one of the best?
The best in what sense?
Like, one of the best against. I guess Marci's worst against.
So, Necro is the hero that Marci is 6th best against.
Oh, yikes.
How? You just press W and then alter.
Apparently, Necro is really good, really bad against Marci. The hero that Marci's worst against is really boring. And not the hero itself, but just like the reason why Marci's bad against it is just a boring reason.
Is it Meepo?
No.
Husker?
No, it's just a tanky... No, it's just Doom. It's just really bad against Doom. Just get doomed, lol.
Get doomed.
Yeah, she is a melee creep at that point, so.
Interesting. Can you hazard a guess at any of the heroes that Marci is very good against, other than Necro, which is 6th? It's kind of impossible to guess, to be honest, really, when the hero's been out for only a little while.
Tinker.
No, Tinker's not there.
No, because he got the laser. I had a friend play, and he played PL, and he was very sad because Marci had the level 25 talent with the pulse silence, and so he could never doppelganger because he was just getting silenced all the time. But I think on the whole, PL's probably pretty good against Marci. So
probably PL's not here on either of the lists. I'll just run you through some of them. It doesn't, to me, make any sense why
it's like too
here,
soon.
Yeah, it's too soon. It's not enough games, and well, actually, to be fair, there is actually over 100,000 matches on all of these matchups. But anyway, apparently the hero that Marci's best against is Dazzle, followed by Omni Knight and Silencer. I mean, I don't really know why that's the case, that it's so good against Dazzle. Maybe because you suplex out of range of Shallow Grave of the Dazzle, so you're just positioning ready to save cores, and then Marci's just like, nope, suplex out of range or something, I don't know. And apparently worst versus Doom, Broodmother, Nature's Prophet, and Timbersaw.
Oh, I was going to say Brood.
And Ember Spirit, so there you go.
I feel like if you look at Brood's worst against, like, it's just every hero. She's probably like 40% win rate against every hero.
Yeah.
So.
Oof. Brood's worst against is Naga Siren. 34% win rate against Naga. That is rough to see.
That's nice.
Yeah. Well, that's been episode 160 of New Meta Podcast. We'll be here again next week to discuss all the heroes that has come out since 7.0, among other things. And until then, have a final whistle.
GG.